I'm Chris David, Director of Marketing here at Aspira Health, and I'm with Dr. William Albanese. He's the Managing Partner, Practice Manager, and Court Jester here in Lewis, Delaware.
I'm a horrible court jester, though. I really don't have good jokes.
We got to work on our jokes.
Yeah.
Today we're drinking Red Bulls, Yellow Edition. It's the best edition. And we're going to be talking about blood work. You know, I personally wanted to get my lab work done for the new year. It's 2022. I want to make sure that everything's in order, everything's in check. I started actually looking up this app. Actually, I heard it on a podcast, and I was like, "Ooh."
Joe Rogan podcast?
No, it was a different. It was a different podcast.
A different scientifically credible podcast.
Yeah, it was very credible. You know, we don't have to go into what I like to listen to.
Hey, no, I'm guilty as charged as well, too. I'll sample all mediums, you know?
Well, I started looking it up, and I was like, wow, the marketing was fantastic, and I can appreciate that. And they started going through all the different metrics and getting, a baseline for your overall health with just your blood work. And I'm like, well, this is incredible. And it was $600. And I was like, well, that's a little expensive. And then I remembered, wow, I work at Aspira. Let's just see if a regular old blood panel or some blood work can achieve the same results. So what did I do? I talked to Will over here. I texted the text line, and it was super easy. I showed up. It was covered by my insurance. LabCorp came out. They had my blood work in and out, 15, 20 minutes. And so today we're going to talk about what that actually means. What do the metrics mean? What can it mean for you? And Will's going to help me navigate my health from my blood work. So, Will.
Yeah, well, so you brought up a lot of good points, and we've looked at your blood work, but I thought it was interesting where you got charged $600, and I think that's crazy.
Well, I didn't pay for it.
Right. Our good friend, Mr. David here, was smart enough to say, I think that's covered by insurance, and it really is. One of the things that shocks me is people that go concierge medicine are told that they're going to get this huge panel of blood work, and they're going to get taken care of and screened. But what they don't realize is you're paying a lot of money for a service that's already widely available.
Covered by insurance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There shouldn't really be any cost for preventative medication. Almost all insurances will cover annual exams, and they'll cover blood work more frequently if you need it. So don't go buying expensive apps just to get information you deserve, I think, Not that any of us have sucker written on us or anything like that, but we do drink enough Red Bull that we should worry about our glucose. That was like a conversation that we had where we started talking about, what are we doing to ourselves here with this stuff? Luckily, we're healthy. Don't worry about us. Strong like bull.
My heart might give out, but my blood's good.
Yeah, your heart's fluttering, but my blood work is totally fine. But just to give everyone an overview, Mr. David here came in and he got screened and he got several different blood panels done. Blood work is a constellation of blood tests that are done. Most of the time, it is a CMP, a CBC, and a lipid panel. So CMP is comprehensive metabolic panel. Mm-hmm. CBC is your complete blood count, and then your lipid panel is like your cholesterol, basically, and your triglycerides. There's a lot to unpack in each of those, and each can tell you different things about your medical conditions, what you might be at risk for, and what you can actually correct or get further treatment for, which is why insurances pay for it, because if you catch these things on annual screenings, you can treat and prevent large problems in the future, right?
Right, or if you're feeling like really crummy or tired and you're like, wow, maybe I've got a thyroid problem, or maybe, my glucose levels aren't, right.
Yeah, hashtag check out our thyroid. Check out our thyroid podcast. That was a great one. We talked about that. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. That was a good time. But yeah, you can get these things done, and that wouldn't be so the thyroid actually wouldn't be part of that panel, but it's an easy add-on. When you go and get blood work done, if you're like, hey, I might have this, doctor just says, hey, I have no problem ordering this test. We'll get a couple different things done. Just don't be a Theranose and try to get a drop of blood to diagnose everything. That's, some topical humor.
Thanos? What?
Theranose? Oh, you don't know about Theranose?
I don't know about Theranose. I know about the glove and the gauntlet, but...
The glove and the gauntlet?
Probably not correlated.
No. Oh.
Thanos.
It's a
dork joke. Okay.
Comics. I got you.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe she stole it from that. I don't know. Theranose was just Holmes. Was her name Maria Holmes? Somebody There was a dropout from Stanford. She was 19 years old, and she claimed that a drop of blood could diagnose everything ever in humans, basically. Like, she claimed that a single drop of blood could give you all the things I just listed, plus other diagnoses. Turned out to be false, but she created a company worth billions of dollars off false technology.
Oh,
Now you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about? Yeah.
yes.
The Steve Jobs of healthcare, and she was like 19. She just got convicted of fraud. I believe she's going to jail for like 20 years. I think she faces.
Yeah, so she probably was the app that I was getting marketed to.
She just sent me $600 in cash.
We'll take care of you.
Yeah, but no. So that's off tangent. But the idea here is, those kinds of companies. The idea is blood work can be revealing, and that's why people, want to get it. They should get it. It's preventative, and it helps put a marker in place for where you're at and where you're going. It's also good to know you're healthy and you have a clean bill of health. It's the easiest, simplest way. We typically take a couple milliliters, so it's not a drop. It's a good amount. The tubes. They
I
typically
got
draw.
2 tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prick
Probably
you
like-
one time, pull 2 tubes out. I also got my SpO2, the little sensor that goes on your finger, and I gave a urine sample as well. So it was pretty comprehensive.
And that's pretty typical too. Normally we'll get a urine sample just to check your urine. Make sure you're not putting out protein in your urine. You don't have any, because your urine tells you what your kidneys are doing. If you go upstream, you get to your kidneys from your urine. But just to talk briefly about your CMP, your comprehensive metabolic panel, basically gives you a couple of quick markers. Liver function tests. It gives you your serum creatinine, which is another way to look at your kidneys. And then it gives you some of the electrolytes in your blood, like sodium, potassium, chloride, carbon dioxide that exists as bicarb, things like that. Bilirubin and protein are also measured in your CMP. Those simple markers alone can tell you pretty easily what's going on. Your liver function test, how hard did you hit the bottle last night? We all know we could be doing that. No. But if you do have a problem there, maybe it's not necessarily alcoholism. Maybe you have a cancer of the liver or something, that's causing problems in the liver. Getting something like that blood work done will identify these problems, and then you can be referred on to other specialists.
Right, so kind of a marker if you might have some sort of a cancer going on, you can catch it a little bit earlier. If you've been drinking too much and you've got some cirrhosis that's happening down in Dewey.
Right.
I think a blood panel is really relevant for more, people our age, they're not getting a lot of, I keep calling it a blood panel, but they're not getting a lot of blood work because they're like, oh, my cholesterol is probably fine, or I feel good. And I think it's just honestly important to know for sure, and to get that baseline, so for future tests as well.
Yeah, and you probably are fine. If you're young and you're healthy, you're probably fine. The difference is here that there's very little cost and very big benefits if you can pick up on something early in life. We'll talk about this probably later, but one of the cancer screenings you can do easily is a PSA, or a prostate antigen in your blood. That's very simple. It tells you if your prostate's getting enlarged and if you might have prostate cancer. And that's an easy way to screen. I believe it's 45. They kick off the screening for all those patients, and they'll just add it onto your blood work. And it's as simple as getting a tube of blood drawn, screening for multiple diseases. Like I said, very little cost, but very big benefit, because let's say your serum creatinine is elevated and you have some kidney issues or something like that, you're going to be able to get referred to a nephrologist right away who's going to say, hey, let's get you on a diet that'll make your kidneys feel a little bit better, let's hydrate you, whatever you need to do, or look into other options, or diagnose something more severe, who knows. But it starts that screening process that's very simple and can have very big benefits. Is it scary? If you're afraid of needles, yes. If you're afraid of bad outcomes, then you should definitely get screened, because you don't want to let that stuff fester until, hey, you're walking into an emergency department because you have a leukemia or something that wasn't identified on blood work previously.
And these things are a lot easier to treat when you catch them early?
I think that's true for just about everything.
Yeah.
Just like the water leak in my basement.
That was a little layup for you.
Yeah, right. All these problems, much easier when they're treated sooner. So if you can get screened, you should. You should come in, get your primary care doctor to look at you and screen you.
At what age do you think people should start getting their blood work taken?
Well, let's look at their pediatric department. You come in as a pediatric patient, and you're going to get a CBC and a lead level drawn right away to see if you've had exposure to lead, which would impact your growth and development neurologically. So pretty much throughout life, you're going to continue to get blood work done, normally at an annual clip. So
once a year.
once a year, go see your doctor. They bless you. They say, hey, you know, you look good. You look great. Your blood works fantastic. You can lay off the Red Bulls. You know, your sugar's a little high, but you know, diabetes really affects a lot of people. I think like 1 in 3 people in America are either pre-diabetic or diabetic. There was some California looked at it and it was astronomical. I think they guesstimate that like half their population in California will be some sort of diabetic.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy, right?
What about Delaware?
Oh,
How are we doing here? Yeah,
we're perfect.
100%. What about
Public health alive and well in Delaware. But yeah, no, and I didn't even mention your glucose. One of the biggest things is on your CMP, your glucose is drawn. You can see if you have any, like, hey, your glucose is a little elevated. We can worry about this a little bit and we'll look at it further. Maybe diet and exercise can fix it, or hey, maybe you should start a medication that'll keep you from getting really bad diseases in the future from diabetes, like loss of vision, kidney damage, infections, you know, run rampant in diabetics. You have to worry about a lot of different things. So these are all big things, yeah.
And also reduces your risk for severe COVID symptoms.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, diabetics are one of the hardest hit populations with COVID, you know, and as you and I both know, we're dealing with the pandemic right now and trying to get out of it, so.
Well, what would the out-of-pocket cost range be for a panel like this if you don't have insurance or you have a deductible?
I'm glad you asked. It's not very expensive at all.
Not $600?
Not $600. And a la carte here, when you come in, you can say, hey, I'm paying out of pocket. The doctor can say, let's just take, you know, listen, let's say this was good last time or you're this age and you're healthy. Let's just do this test. We're talking less than $100.
Wow.
With insurance too, I wanted to add little plug to our LabCorp people who we just talked about, but LabCorp, if you have insurance, is going to make sure that if you get your blood drawn here, that you meet medical necessity and insurance will cover it, because we'll never give you a test here from our LabCorp facility where you get a giant bill later if it's not covered. It should always be covered, so we'll always work for you. And then, you know, there's so much more to talk about with blood work. I mean, I really want to dive into your lipid panel. There's some extraordinary numbers there in CBC, but I think we're saving that for part 2. Is that right?
Let's save it for part 2.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Tune in. Part 2.